The message arrived on a Tuesday. Earth's deep space monitoring stations picked up the signal simultaneously across the globe. It was no random cosmic noise or distant pulsar. This was a structured transmission, clearly artificial and clearly aimed at Earth. For 3 days, the best minds on the planet worked to decode it. When they finally succeeded, the message was simple. We are coming. Prepare to receive us. 6 months later, William Clark stood in front of his bathroom mirror, adjusting his navy blue tie for the 5th time. At 52, his once dark hair had gone mostly gray, especially at the temples. The Presidential Medal of Service gleamed on his lapel, a reminder of 27 years in diplomatic service. "They picked you for a reason, Bill," he told his reflection. "Don't mess this up." As Earth's appointed ambassador to the first alien civilization humanity had ever encountered, Clark felt the weight of 7 billion people on his shoulders. The aliens called themselves the Zeraxians, and today would mark humanity's official introduction to galactic society. The USS Franklin waited in orbit, Earth's newest and most advanced ship. At nearly half a mile long, it represented the pinnacle of human engineering, a vessel built specifically for this historic meeting. Clark had spent the last month living aboard, preparing with his team of 12 diplomats, scientists, and military advisors. Captain George Bennett greeted Clark as he arrived on the bridge. Bennett was younger than Clark by at least a decade, with a squared jaw and the confident posture of a career military man. "Ready for the big day, Ambassador?" Bennett asked, offering his hand. Clark nodded. "As ready as anyone can be to meet aliens. My orders are to get you there and back safely," Bennett said. "Everything in between is your department." The rendezvous point was just beyond the orbit of Mars, neutral territory, as the Zeraxians had called it. The Franklin's engines hummed as they approached the coordinates. The bridge crew worked in focused silence, each person aware of their role in history. "Contact in 5 minutes," announced Linda Powell, the sensor officer. Her fingers danced across her console. "I'm picking up a large vessel entering the solar system. Correction, 3 vessels. The lead ship is massive, sir." The main view screen flickered to life, showing the approaching Zeraxian ships. The lead vessel dwarfed the Franklin by at least 20 times. Its surface gleamed with a metallic blue-green sheen that seemed to shift in the sunlight. 2 smaller ships, each still 4 times larger than the Franklin, flanked it in perfect formation. Clark swallowed hard. Earth's best technology suddenly seemed like toys compared to what approached them. "They're hailing us," Powell said. "On screen," Bennett ordered, giving Clark a nod. The screen changed to show a being that was unmistakably alien. The Zeraxian had grayish-blue skin that looked almost metallic with no visible hair. Its eyes were large, with horizontal pupils that gave it an unsettling gaze. What might have been a mouth moved as it spoke. The words translated by the communication system. "Earth vessel, this is Supreme Commander Krax of the Zeraxian Empire. You will dock with our command ship for discussions." The translation had a flat, emotionless quality that made it impossible to read any intention behind the words. Clark stepped forward. "This is Ambassador William Clark representing Earth. We are honored to meet representatives of the Zeraxian people and look forward to peaceful dialogue." The alien's eyes narrowed slightly. "Follow the transmitted docking procedures precisely. Any deviation will be considered hostile." The screen went dark. "Friendly bunch," Bennett muttered. 4 hours later, Clark led his diplomatic team through the massive docking bay of the Zeraxian command ship. The space could have held 10 ships the size of the Franklin. Everything about the alien vessel spoke of advanced technology, from the seamless walls that seemed to glow from within to the silent doors that opened and closed without any visible mechanism. A group of Zeraxians waited for them. Most wore what appeared to be military uniforms, fitted bodysuits with symbols Clark assumed denoted rank. The one in the center, taller than the others by nearly a foot, stepped forward. "I am Supreme Commander Krax. You will follow." Without waiting for a response, Krax turned and walked away. Clark and his team hurried to keep pace. They were led to a large circular room with a table in the center. The walls were lined with screens showing different parts of the solar system. With a start, Clark realized they were live feeds. The Xeraxians had observation posts throughout human space. "How long have you been watching us?" Clark asked. Cracks made a sound that the translator couldn't process. It took Clark a moment to realize it might have been laughter. "Your species has been monitored since you first split the atom," another Xeraxian said. This one wore different markings. "I am Science Director Vex. We observe all developing worlds in this sector." "We've prepared information about Earth," Clark said, nodding to Dr. Helen Ward, who stepped forward with a data tablet. "Our history, culture, scientific achievements, unnecessary," Cracks interrupted. "We know everything of significance about your world." Ward awkwardly lowered the tablet. "Then perhaps you could share information about the Xeraxian Empire," Clark suggested. "We're eager to learn about your civilization." Vex touched a control on the table. A holographic display appeared, showing hundreds of star systems interconnected by lines. "The Xeraxian Empire spans 732 worlds across 94 star systems," Vex explained. "We are the dominant power in this galactic arm. Earth is here." A tiny blue dot appeared at the edge of the display, in what we consider undeveloped space. "And what brings the Empire to Earth?" Clark asked carefully. Cracks and Vex exchanged looks that Clark couldn't interpret. "Your world has reached the threshold of notice," Cracks said. "Your primitive FTL experiments drew attention. The Empire must secure its borders against potential disruptions." Something in the way Cracks said "secure" made Clark uneasy. "Earth has no hostile intentions," Clark assured them. "We seek peaceful exchange of knowledge, and your intentions are irrelevant," Cracks interrupted. "Undeveloped species require guidance and control to prevent them from harming themselves or others." Clark felt his diplomatic smile freeze on his face. "I'm not sure I understand." Cracks touched another control. The hologram changed to show Earth's solar system, with special focus on the colonies on Mars and the mining operations in the asteroid belt. "Your outer system activities will now fall under Xeraxian supervision. Your military vessels will stand down. A protection fee of 30% of all resource extraction will be collected quarterly." Clark stared in disbelief. "That's not a diplomatic exchange. That's an occupation demand." For the first time, Cracks's expression changed to something Clark could read. Contempt. "Did you believe you were invited to negotiate?" Cracks asked. The alien made that untranslatable sound again, and this time the other Xeraxians joined in. "Your species is barely past using chemical rockets. Your most advanced ship," he gestured dismissively toward where the Franklin was docked, "would not survive 10 seconds against our smallest patrol vessel." One of the Xeraxians stepped forward and placed what looked like a small metal sphere on the table. It projected an image of Earth's defense fleet, all 27 ships currently in service. "Is this truly all you have to protect your world?" another Xeraxian asked, his translated voice dripping with mockery. "We're a peaceful species," Clark began, but was cut off by what was unmistakably laughter from the entire Xeraxian delegation. "Your species has had 12,843 armed conflicts in your recorded history," Vex said. "You are not peaceful. You are simply weak." Clark felt his face growing hot with humiliation as the aliens continued to laugh. It took all his diplomatic training to maintain his composure. "Supreme Commander, I respectfully request time to consult with my government regarding your proposals." Cracks made a gesture and the hologram disappeared. "You have 30 Earth days to prepare your world for Xeraxian administration. After that time, any resistance will be met with appropriate force." As Clark and his team were escorted back to the Franklin, he realized with growing dread that humanity's first contact had gone catastrophically wrong. They weren't being welcomed to the galactic community. They were being colonized. What Clark didn't know was that the entire exchange had been broadcast back to Earth, where billions watched in stunned silence as their ambassador was mocked and their planet threatened. And in a classified facility deep beneath the Antarctic ice, Captain Olivia Martinez watched too, her expression grim as Admiral John Peterson walked into the secure briefing room. "Captain," Peterson said without preamble, "prepare the Phantom for immediate deployment. It's time to show these aliens what humanity can really do. Martinez nodded, already mentally preparing for what would be the most important mission in human history. The aliens had laughed at humanity today. They wouldn't be laughing much longer. 3 years before the Xeraxians arrived, Kevin Hayes was just another engineer at NASA's Advanced Propulsion Laboratory. He was 35, with sandy brown hair that always seemed to need a cut and glasses that constantly slid down his nose. His colleagues called him the basement dweller because he preferred working in the lower labs away from everyone else. On a cold January morning, Kevin was testing a new radiation shield design when his equipment detected something unusual. The specialized sensor showed energy bending around his test material in a way that defied normal physics. At first, he thought his equipment was broken. After 3 days of testing, he realized it wasn't a malfunction. It was a discovery. Kevin stared at his computer screen, his coffee growing cold beside him. The numbers couldn't be right, but they were consistent across every test. He picked up his phone and called the one person he knew would understand. "Dr. Miller? It's Kevin Hayes. I need you to look at something." "No, it can't wait." "Dr. Susan." Miller arrived at the lab 2 hours later. At 42, she was one of the world's leading quantum physicists, with dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Her reputation for brilliance was matched only by her impatience with nonsense. "This better be good, Hayes," she said, setting down her bag. "I was in the middle of writing a paper." Kevin didn't speak. He simply showed her the test results. Susan's expression changed from annoyance to disbelief as she reviewed the data. She ran her own tests, then more tests, working alongside Kevin for the next 36 hours straight. "Do you understand what we've found?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Kevin nodded. "A way to bend radiation, including light, around an object." "A cloaking device," Susan said. "Not science fiction anymore." Within a week, their discovery was classified at the highest level. Within a month, they were relocated to a facility that officially didn't exist. The Antarctic base was designated Ice Station 0 on the few documents that acknowledged it. Built beneath 200 feet of ice, it housed the most secretive research project on Earth. The official cover story mentioned climate research. In reality, it was the birthplace of Project Ghost Protocol. Captain Olivia Martinez first arrived at Ice Station 0 6 months after Kevin's discovery. Her military record was exceptional, graduated top of her class at Annapolis with advanced degrees in both engineering and tactical operations. At 34, she had already commanded 2 space vessels and earned a reputation for both brilliance and level-headedness in crisis situations. "Captain Martinez, welcome to the most important project in human history," Admiral Peterson said as he led her through the underground facility. "What you're about to see doesn't leave this room." The central chamber of the facility was enormous, hollowed out of the Antarctic ice and reinforced with steel and concrete. In the middle stood the skeleton of a ship unlike anything Martinez had ever seen. "What am I looking at, Admiral?" she asked. "The future of humanity's defense," Peterson answered. "We're calling her the Phantom." The ship was smaller than standard military vessels, sleek and angular with no external markings. Engineers swarmed over it like ants, installing systems and running tests. "We've suspected for decades that we're not alone in the universe," Peterson continued. "Now we have proof that contact is imminent. The Phantom is our insurance policy." Martinez studied the ship. "You want me to command her?" It wasn't a question. "You're the only one with the right combination of skills," Peterson confirmed. "The technical knowledge to understand what we're building and the combat experience to use it effectively." "What exactly does she do?" Peterson smiled. "She disappears." Over the next 3 years, Martinez lived and breathed the Phantom project. She helped design the bridge layout, tested the propulsion systems, and selected her crew personally. Each was chosen for specific skills and, equally important, the ability to keep secrets. Lieutenant Alan Rodriguez became her tactical officer, a quiet, methodical man with a gift for weapon systems and a chess master's approach to combat strategy. At 30, He had the best simulator scores in the fleet. For communications, she selected Lisa Green, whose background in linguistics and pattern recognition had helped crack 3 terrorist codes during the Taiwan conflict. Small and quick-moving with short red hair, Green could monitor multiple communication channels simultaneously without missing a detail. Engineer Paul Jackson was a genius with drive systems. At 28, he was younger than the others with an easygoing manner that hid a brilliant technical mind. He could fix almost anything and had an intuitive understanding of the Phantom's experimental systems. For navigation, Martinez chose Daniel White, a former pilot with thousands of hours in both atmosphere and space. His spatial awareness was unmatched, and his steady hands had once guided a damaged shuttle through an asteroid field with no casualties. The crew trained together for 18 months, running simulations and live tests as the Phantom took shape. The cloaking technology, now refined by Dr. Miller and Kevin Hayes, was integrated into the ship's hull. When activated, it bent light, radar, and other detection methods around the vessel, rendering it effectively invisible. The day the Xeraxians broadcasted their humiliation of Ambassador Clark Martinez and her crew were conducting their final readiness test in the hidden launch bay beneath the Antarctic ice. Admiral Peterson entered the control room, his face grim. "You've all seen the transmission," he said without preamble. "The situation has accelerated beyond our worst projections." Martinez nodded. The crew gathered around as Peterson brought up the tactical display showing the Xeraxian ships now positioned near Jupiter. "They've already destroyed 3 of our cargo vessels," Peterson said. "They're toying with us, demonstrating their superiority. Meanwhile, they're scanning everything, our defenses, our infrastructure, our capabilities. What they don't know is that we've been scanning them too," Martinez said. "Every time they fire on one of our ships, we learn more about their weapons systems." Peterson nodded. "But it's not enough. We need to know their weaknesses, their command, structure, their vulnerabilities." He looked directly at Martinez. "That's where you come in." Martinez understood immediately. "You want us to get close, really close." "The Phantom is ready," Peterson confirmed. "As of this moment, you are officially on mission status." The Admiral handed Martinez a secure data tablet. "These are your orders, directly from the Joint Chiefs and the President. Officially, this mission doesn't exist. If you're captured or killed, Earth will deny any knowledge of your actions." Martinez scanned the orders, then passed the tablet to her crew. Each read it silently. "Questions?" she asked when they had finished. White raised his hand. "The Xeraxians have given Earth 30 days. Our mission parameters say we have 10 days to complete our objective. Why the rush?" "Because they're lying," Green said before Peterson could answer. She pulled up the communication intercepts she had been analyzing. "Their internal communication suggests they plan to move against Earth much sooner, probably within the week. Which means we need to move now," Martinez said. She turned to Peterson. "When do we launch?" 24 hours, the Admiral replied. "We're creating a diversion, a visible deployment of Earth's defense fleet to Mars. All eyes will be watching that. No one will notice a supply ship heading in the opposite direction." Martinez looked at her crew. "This isn't what we trained for. The cloaking technology is still experimental. We have limited combat capabilities, and will be completely on our own deep in enemy territory." She paused. "Anyone who wants out, now's the time." No one moved. Rodriguez spoke for all of them. "The Xeraxians think humans are weak and primitive. I look forward to changing their minds." Martinez smiled. "Then we have work to do. Jackson, I want a complete systems check. Green, continue analyzing their communications patterns. White, plot our approach vector. I want to use Jupiter's radiation belts for additional cover. Rodriguez, weapons check and tactical scenarios." As the crew dispersed to their tasks, Martinez stayed behind with Peterson. "You know the real odds," Peterson said quietly. Martinez nodded. "Low probability of mission success, lower probability of survival." She smiled grimly. "But there's still a chance. And sometimes, Admiral, a chance is all you need." 24 hours later, as Earth's visible defense fleet made a show of strength heading toward Mars, a small supply ship lifted off from Antarctica. Its official destination was the research station on Europa. Its actual mission was much more dangerous. Once clear of Earth's sensor grid, the supply ship's outer hull detached, revealing the sleek form of the Phantom. Captain Martinez gave the order they had trained 3 years for. Activate cloaking system. The Phantom shimmered once, then vanished from all detection systems. Set course for the Xeraxian fleet, Martinez ordered. Let's see what these aliens are really made of. The hunt had begun. Space was never truly silent to those who knew how to listen. To Lisa Green, hunched over her communication station on the Phantom's bridge, it spoke volumes. Every frequency carried whispers of information, radio chatter, sensor pings, navigation, beacons, and the digital heartbeats of ships passing in the darkness. Right now, those whispers belonged to the enemy. Xeraxian patrol vessel at coordinates 423317. She reported quietly, though there was no need to whisper. No sound could escape the Phantom's hull. Standard sweep pattern. They don't see us. Captain Martinez nodded. For 6 days, the Phantom had journeyed deeper into the solar system, invisible to all conventional detection methods. They were now approaching Jupiter's orbit, where the main Xeraxian fleet had established its staging area. Status of the cloaking system? Martinez asked. Paul Jackson checked his engineering displays. Stable, Captain. Power consumption is within expected parameters. As long as we maintain current speed, we can stay cloaked indefinitely. And if we need to move faster? Martinez asked. Jackson frowned. The energy requirements increase exponentially. With speed. At maximum thrust, we'd have about 40 minutes before the system overloads. Martinez nodded. It was a limitation they had known about from the beginning. The Phantom was a ghost, not a racehorse. Daniel, time to visual range of the main fleet, she asked. 3 hours at current speed, Captain, White answered from the navigation station. His fingers danced across the controls, making minute adjustments to their course. Jupiter's radiation belts are giving us excellent cover. The Xeraxians are avoiding the worst areas. Gives us extra room to maneuver. Good, Martinez said. Alan, weapon status? Lieutenant Rodriguez glanced up from the tactical station. All systems green, Captain. Though I remind you that our orders are reconnaissance only. Martinez smiled slightly. Just checking all our options, Lieutenant. The bridge fell silent as each crew member focused on their tasks. The Phantom continued its silent approach, slipping between Xeraxian patrol ships like a shadow. The tension on the bridge grew with each passing hour. Contact! Green suddenly called out. Multiple signals ahead. It's the main fleet, Captain. On screen. Martinez ordered. The main view screen activated, showing what lay before them. Collective gasps filled the bridge. The Xeraxian armada was massive, far larger than Earth's intelligence had estimated. Hundreds of ships arranged in precise formation. The largest vessels were at the center, surrounded by layers of smaller craft in a defensive pattern. Mother of God, White whispered. Martinez stood from her chair, studying the fleet with narrowed eyes. Lisa, are you recording? Everything? Every byte, Captain. Full spectrum analysis running. Paul, adjust our approach vector. I want to pass through their formation for a closer look. Jackson looked up, alarmed. Through their formation? Captain, if we miscalculate by even a few meters, then don't miscalculate. Martinez interrupted. Daniel, plot us a course that keeps maximum distance from any ship while still giving us good scanning coverage. White nodded, his expression tense as he began calculating the approach. This is what we came for, Martinez reminded them. We need detailed scans of their ships, information on their weapon systems, their vulnerabilities. We can't get that from a distance. For the next hour, the Phantom moved slowly through the alien fleet, invisible as a ghost. Their sensors recorded everything: power signatures, communication patterns, shield configurations. Rodriguez focused on analyzing the Xeraxians' weapon systems, while Jackson studied their propulsion technology. Captain, Jackson called out suddenly, his voice tense. I'm detecting something strange. The Xeraxian ships are emitting a high-frequency energy, pulse at regular intervals. It's not on any spectrum we monitored from Earth. Meaning? Martinez asked. It might be some kind of detection system we're not familiar with. I don't think it can see us, but... Before he could finish, a Xeraxian patrol ship suddenly changed course, heading directly toward them. Evasive action, Martinez ordered. Daniel, get us clear. White's hands flew across his console. The Phantom changed course, moving away from the approaching vessel. Have they detected us? Martinez asked. Green shook her head, listening intently to the Xeraxian communications. No chatter suggesting they've spotted us. They're just changing patrol patterns. The patrol ship passed within 50 meters of the Phantom, close enough that they could see individual Xeraxians moving behind viewports. For several tense seconds, no one on the bridge breathed. Then the alien ship continued on its new course, showing no sign it had noticed them. That was too close, Rodriguez said quietly. Jackson was already working at his station. Captain, I need to adjust our cloaking field. Those energy pulses they're emitting, they create a ripple effect in our field. If enough pulses hit us simultaneously, it could make us visible. Do it, Martinez ordered. The adjustment will reduce our power reserves, Jackson warned. We'll have about 72 hours before we need to drop the cloak to recharge. Understood. Make the changes. As Jackson worked, Green suddenly straightened in her chair. Captain, I'm picking up a concentrated burst of communications. A lot of encrypted data flowing to one specific ship. She pointed to a massive vessel at the center of the fleet. That one. Martinez studied the ship on the screen. It was enormous, easily 5 times the size of the others around it, with a distinctive design that set it apart from the rest of the fleet. Their command ship, she said softly. Rodriguez, am I right? The tactical officer nodded. The formation pattern supports that theory. All ships are positioned to protect that vessel. Their defense grid is strongest around it. Martinez made a decision. That's our primary target for intelligence gathering. Daniel, set a course. Get us as close as you can without triggering those energy pulses. For the next 12 hours, the Phantom shadowed the Xeraxian command ship, recording everything. They observed the aliens' shift changes, mapped their sensor blind spots, and identified what appeared to be vital systems. Rodriguez noticed something interesting in the fleet's movement patterns. Captain, look at this, he said, bringing up a tactical display. The entire fleet moves in response to commands from the flagship. When it signals, they all adjust position. There's no individual initiative. Martinez leaned closer. A centralized command structure? Exactly. If the flagship were disabled or couldn't communicate, the entire fleet would be in disarray, Martinez finished. Good work, Lieutenant. As they continued their observation, Jackson suddenly called, out from his station. Captain, I'm detecting a power surge in the command ship's weapon systems. They're charging something big. Target? Martinez asked sharply. Green was already searching through communications. Captain, they're targeting a human mining station on Ganymede. The station has 27 people on it. Martinez's expression hardened. They're testing their weapons, showing off. We can't interfere, Rodriguez reminded her. Our orders. I know our orders, Martinez snapped. She stared at the screen, watching as the massive Xeraxian vessel oriented toward, distant Ganymede. Her hands gripped the arms of her chair so tightly her knuckles turned white. Time to weapons discharge? She asked, her voice controlled. 3 minutes, Jackson reported. For a long moment, Martinez was silent, weighing impossible choices. Then, Paul, is there any way we could disrupt their targeting systems without revealing ourselves? Jackson thought quickly. Maybe. If we release a focused EMP burst near their sensor array, it might look like a random space phenomenon. Would it save the station? Jackson's expression was grim. It might delay them, give the station time to evacuate, but, Captain, it would drain our cloaking reserves significantly. How significantly? We'd have about 24 hours before we'd need to decloak. Martinez nodded. Do it. Make it look like a solar flare interaction with Jupiter's magnetosphere. Captain, Rodriguez said carefully, this goes beyond our mission parameters. Martinez met his gaze. 27 lives, Lieutenant. Sometimes parameters need to flex. She turned back to Jackson. Do it now. Jackson's fingers flew across his console, programming the burst. Ready, Captain. Release. A focused pulse of electromagnetic energy shot from the Phantom, striking the Xeraxian command ship's sensor array. To anyone watching, it would appear as nothing more than a strange interaction of natural space phenomena. On the command ship, alarms blared as systems temporarily malfunctioned. The weapon powering up suddenly shut down as safety protocols activated. Green monitored the Xeraxian communications. They're confused, blaming it on radiation from Jupiter. The attack on the station has been postponed while they run diagnostics. Martinez nodded. Transmit an encrypted warning to the Ganymede station. Use the emergency channel. Tell them to evacuate immediately. No explanation. Yes, Captain. As the message was sent, Martinez studied the confusion they had caused on the Xeraxian vessel. A plan was forming in her mind, something beyond their original mission, something that might just change the course of the coming conflict. I think, she said slowly, we've found the Xeraxians' weakness. The crew looked at her expectantly. Their arrogance, Martinez explained. They believe their technology is so superior that anything that goes wrong must be a natural phenomenon or system error. It doesn't occur to them that we might have Kappa. Tell me again why we're getting closer to the command ship instead of heading home with our intelligence, Lieutenant Rodriguez asked, his voice low as he leaned over his tactical console. Captain Martinez studied the massive Xeraxian flagship on the main screen. 20 hours had passed since their intervention saved the Ganymede mining station. 20 hours of following the alien command vessel, watching and waiting. Because our mission isn't just about gathering information, replied. It's about finding a way to save Earth. And I think I've found it. She called the crew together for a briefing, keeping her voice steady despite the risk of what she was about to propose. The Xeraxians believe they have total superiority, she began. Their arrogance is their blind spot. They don't believe we have the technology to threaten them, so they haven't bothered to look for threats they can't imagine. She brought up the scans they had taken of the flagship over the past day. Lisa has intercepted and decoded part of their communications. What did you find? Green cleared her throat. The Xeraxians aren't waiting 30 days as they claimed. They're planning to attack Earth in just 48 hours. A full invasion force. Shocked faces around the briefing table absorbed this news. Why rush their timeline? White asked. They're worried about our outer colonies, Green explained. Several of our ships have escaped from Mars and the asteroid belt. The Xeraxians are concerned we might be consolidating forces. They want to strike before we can organize any kind of resistance. Not that they think we could resist effectively, Rodriguez added bitterly. Martinez nodded. Exactly. They're cautious, but not because they fear us. They simply want a clean victory with minimal effort. She zoomed in on a section of the flagship. And that's why they've left their command ship relatively unprotected. The crew leaned forward, examining the area. She indicated. Their defense grid has a weakness here, Martinez continued, pointing to a section near what appeared to be the bridge. Their sensors are focused outward, looking for conventional attacks. They're not scanning for something already inside their perimeter. You want to get even closer? Jackson asked. Captain, we've been lucky so far, but the more time we spend near their ships, the greater the chance they'll detect some sign of our presence. I'm aware of the risks, Martinez replied, but we've discovered something critical. The Xeraxian fleet operates on a hierarchical command structure that depends entirely on orders from the flagship. Their ships don't make independent decisions. Rodriguez understood immediately. If we could disrupt their command capabilities, the entire invasion force would be thrown into chaos, Martinez finished. At least temporarily. How temporarily? White asked. Long enough for Earth to prepare better defenses. Maybe long. Enough to negotiate from a position other than total weakness. Jackson looked concerned. What exactly are you proposing, Captain? Martinez took a deep breath. I want to disable their main communications array without being detected, if we can. Make it look like a technical failure. That's not reconnaissance anymore, Rodriguez pointed out. That's sabotage. It's protecting Earth, Martinez replied firmly, and it's within our capabilities. The bridge fell silent as her crew considered her words. Our orders were clear, Rodriguez said finally. Gather intelligence and return safely, not engage the enemy. Our orders were to find a way to protect Earth, Martinez countered. That's what I intend to do. She looked at each crew member in turn. I won't order any of you to participate in this. If you believe we should return to Earth now with the intelligence we've gathered, I'll listen. The silence stretched for several seconds. How would we do it? Jackson asked finally. Martinez smiled slightly. The same way we disrupted their targeting of the Ganymede station, but more precisely. A focused EMP burst aimed at their main communications array, designed to look like a system failure. It would drain our cloaking reserves severely, Jackson warned. We'd have maybe 12 hours before we'd need to decloak for a full system recharge. Enough time to be well away from their fleet, Martinez replied. And if something goes wrong? White asked. Then we use what weapons we have and hope for the best, Martinez said honestly. This is a volunteer mission from this point forward. Anyone who wants out can say so now. No one spoke up. Then let's get to work, Martinez said. For the next 6 hours, the Phantom moved into position. They navigated carefully through the Xeraxian defensive screen, studying patrol patterns and shift changes. Jackson worked continuously to refine the EMP device, while Green monitored communications for any sign they had been detected. In position, White reported finally. The Phantom hovered less than a kilometer from the Xeraxian flagship's main communications array, close enough to see individual Xeraxians moving through lighted corridors of the massive ship. Final checks, Martinez ordered. Jackson? EMP device ready. I've configured it to mimic an internal power surge. Their engineers will be chasing ghosts for hours. Rodriguez? Escape route plotted. We'll use Jupiter's radiation belt for cover. Again. Green? Monitoring all channels. They have no idea we're here. Martinez nodded. On my mark, then. She took a deep breath. 3, 2, 1, mark. Jackson activated the device. A focused pulse of energy shot from the Phantom, striking the communications array with pinpoint precision. The effect was immediate. Lights flickered across the section, and the array's energy signature dropped dramatically. Direct hit, Jackson reported. Their main communication system is offline. Green was monitoring the Xeraxian channels intently. They're confused. Internal alarms activating. They think it's a power regulation failure in their own systems. How long? Until they repair it, Martinez asked. Based on what I'm seeing, at least 12 hours. Maybe longer. Good. White, get us out of here, nice and easy. Yes, Captain. The Phantom began to move away from the flagship. They had only traveled a few hundred meters when disaster struck. Energy spike, Jackson shouted. One of their patrol ships just activated some kind of scanning pulse. Before Martinez could respond, a beam of energy passed through the space occupied by the Phantom. For a brief moment, their cloaking field flickered. Did they see us? Martinez demanded. Green was frantically monitoring communications. I don't think... Wait. Her expression changed. Captain, they're launching small scout ships. They're searching the area. They saw something, Rodriguez said grimly. Maybe not us clearly, but something. White. Maximum safe speed. Get us into Jupiter's radiation belt. Martinez ordered. The Phantom accelerated, heading toward the distant safety of the gas giant's protective radiation. Behind them, 3 Xeraxian scout ships spread out in search patterns. They're following our general trajectory, Rodriguez reported, watching the tactical display. But they don't have a lock on us. For the next hour, the Phantom played a deadly game of hide-and-seek, changing course frequently while maintaining their cloak. The Xeraxian scouts were methodical, scanning and expanding patterns. Captain, Jackson called out with urgency in his voice. The cloak is draining faster than expected. We've got maybe 4 hours left, not 12. Martinez's mind raced through options. Can we shut down non-essential systems to extend it? Already done. The damage from that scanning pulse destabilized the field. It's requiring more power to maintain. A console beeped, drawing their attention. They're calling in more scout ships, Green reported. The search is expanding. Martinez made her decision. New plan. Instead of running straight back to Earth, we go deeper. Deeper? White questioned. Yes. Toward their command ship again. Her crew looked at her in shock. Captain, with respect, that's suicide, Rodriguez said. No, it's the last thing they'll expect, Martinez countered. They're looking for us to run, not to go right back into their midst. White, plot a course that takes us through their defensive screen, using their own ships as cover. White hesitated only a moment before nodding. Course plotted, Captain. Execute. The Phantom changed direction, heading back toward the heart of the Xeraxian fleet. As Martinez had predicted, the search vessels continued outward, looking for an escaping ship. It's working, Green said with a hint of disbelief. They're focusing their search in the wrong direction. For now, Martinez acknowledged. But we're still in a difficult position. For the next 2 hours they hid in plain sight using the Xeraxian ships themselves as cover. With each passing minute, their cloaking reserves drained further. 2 hours of cloak remaining, Jackson reported. Martinez nodded. Lisa, what's happening with the flagship? Green listened to the communications chatter. They've called in their engineers. They still think it's an internal malfunction. But her expression changed as she focused on a new transmission. Captain, there's a meeting of the Xeraxian High Command starting in 1 hour. Supreme Commander Krax has called all his top officers to the bridge. The same Krax who humiliated our ambassador, Rodriguez asked. The very same, Green confirmed. Martinez's eyes narrowed as a bold idea formed in her mind. Where exactly on the flagship is this meeting taking place? Green checked the transmissions. Their main bridge. I can pinpoint it from the communications. Routing. Show me. Green brought up a schematic of the flagship with one section highlighted. Here, the bubble-like structure on the upper hull. Martinez studied it. Is it exposé? The Phantom moved silently into position directly in front of the massive viewport of the Xeraxian flagship. Inside, Captain Martinez could see the gathering of alien officers. Supreme Commander Krax stood at the center, his tall figure unmistakable, even from a distance. In position, White reported, his voice barely above a whisper. Martinez nodded. How long until cloak failure? 38 minutes, Jackson replied. And our weapons? Rodriguez checked his tactical display. All systems ready, though against that flagship. He didn't need to finish. Everyone knew their weapons would barely scratch the massive alien vessel if it came to a fight. Lisa, are you picking up their conversation? Martinez asked. Green adjusted her headset. Yes, Captain. Krax is addressing his officers about the Earth invasion. She paused, listening carefully. He's laughing about Ambassador Clark, calling humans primitive apes who think they're ready for the stars. Martinez's expression hardened. Perfect timing. Paul, ready to decloak on my mark. Jackson's hand hovered over the controls. Ready, Captain. Martinez took a deep breath. In the next few moments, they would either change the course of history or become a brief final footnote in it. Magnify the bridge viewport on screen, she ordered. The main screen showed the Xeraxian command center in detail now. Supreme Commander, Krax stood before his officers, gesturing grandly as he spoke. His face bore the same contemptuous expression he had shown Ambassador Clark. Lisa, prepare to open a communication channel the moment we decloak. I want to speak directly to Krax. Channel. Ready, Captain. Martinez straightened in her chair. Paul, decloak in 3, 2, 1, mark. Jackson pressed the control. The Phantom's cloaking field dropped. In an instant, the ship became visible, appearing as if by magic directly in front of the Xeraxian flagship's main viewport. Inside the alien bridge, the reaction was immediate. Krax stopped mid-sentence, his mouth hanging open. Officers jumped to their feet, shouting orders that contradicted each other. Some reached for weapons, while others simply stared in disbelief. "Channel open," Green announced. Martinez stood, facing the screen. "Supreme Commander Krax, this is Captain Olivia Martinez of Earth. I believe we've caught you by surprise." The alien commander's shock quickly turned to rage. "How is this possible? Where did you come from?" "We've been here all along," Martinez replied calmly. "Observing your fleet, studying your weaknesses, testing your defenses." She paused. "You've already experienced some of our capabilities with your communications array failure." She could see the realization dawning on Krax's face. "Earthships have been invisible to your sensors for days, Commander Krax," Martinez continued. "We've chosen to reveal ourselves as a courtesy before further action is taken." The lie was bold, but necessary. Let the Zeraxians believe Earth had a fleet of stealth ships, not just one prototype. "Alan, target their weapons control systems," Martinez ordered loudly enough for the open channel to pick up. "But hold fire until my command." Rodriguez played along perfectly. "Target locked, Captain." Martinez turned back to the screen. "You should be aware that similar Earth vessels are currently positioned throughout your fleet, targeting critical systems on your ships. We have held our fire out of diplomatic restraint." The bridge of the Zeraxian flagship erupted into frantic activity. Officers rushed to consoles, desperately trying to locate non-existent human ships hiding among their fleet. "You're bluffing," Krax growled, but uncertainty had crept into his voice. "Are you willing to risk your fleet to test that theory?" Martinez asked. "Or would you prefer to open more equitable negotiations?" For several tense seconds, Krax stared at her. Then his posture changed subtly. "Perhaps," he said carefully. "Our initial assessment of Earth's capabilities was incomplete." Martinez allowed herself a small smile. "I suggest a 48-hour cease in all hostile actions while both sides prepare for proper diplomatic discussions." "Equal terms this time, Commander." The alien commander gave a stiff nod. "Agreed." "We will withdraw now as a sign of good faith," Martinez said. "But remember what you've seen today, Commander." She signaled to Green to cut the transmission. "Daniel, get us out of here. Maximum speed toward Earth." As the Phantom turned away from the flagship, its engines flaring to life, Martinez finally allowed herself to breathe normally again. "Do you think they'll honor the agreement?" Rodriguez asked. "They will for now," Martinez replied. "We've shown them something they didn't believe possible. That creates doubt, and doubt breeds caution." She looked back at the screen, watching the Zeraxian fleet grow smaller behind them. "Earth has gained something precious today," she said. "Time. And a reputation," White added. Martinez nodded. "The aliens laughed at us. They're not laughing anymore.